So yeah, now jumping into Destination 2, I'll first give you a broad overview of the Destination 2 in Work Program 25. And yeah, you can move to the next slide, Board, and explain a bit what are the overall objectives of Destination 2. So Destination 2 focuses more specifically on the physical dimension of neighborhoods and on the built environment, as the name indicates. And more specifically, it aims at developing a circular and regenerative construction ecosystem. And it aims to do that mainly in two ways. First, by developing innovative construction materials and products or those that already exist. And second, by developing new designs, architectural approaches, and construction methods that contribute to the durability, the resource and energy efficiency of the built environment, and also to the restoration of its surrounding ecosystems. And in line with the New Urban Bauhaus values, as much as possible, the solutions developed in Destination 2 should be user-centered and place-based, and they should also connect with local cultural identity, historical and vernacular knowledge, and cultural heritage. And in Work Program 25, we foresee, as you can see on the slide, 4 topics for Destination 2. Again, as in Destination 1, all of those topics in the destination include standard sentences, which are the same as in Destination 1. So we have the one on participatory and transdisciplinary approach, the standard sentence also about the need for projects to share their intermediate and final results and finding with the New Urban Bauhaus Hub for results and impact. And then the sentence on SSH, but here may be important to flag that we didn't include that sentence in all of the topics in Destination 2, conversely to Destination 1, just because it wasn't relevant for all of them, actually just for one of them, which is the one on bio-fabricated materials. So with that, I'm gonna jump into the topics. So Barut, we can move to the next slide to present the first topic on applying regenerative design to the built environment in neighborhoods. So this is an innovation action. We expect the project to reach a technology readiness level of 6 to 8 by the end of the project. The budget, the total indicative budget is 8 million euros, and we expect to fund 2 projects with that budget. As in Destination 1, the deadline is 12th of November 2025, and yeah, again, this is the same. It's the same deadline for all of the topics, and here we also foresee. If proposals want financial support to third parties with a maximum of 60,000 euros per third party. So we can move to the next slide. Thank you. So now why we decided to have this topic in the work program, it's because regeneration is very important to the New Urban Bauhaus. It's actually really at its core, and it's, if you are familiar with the New Urban Bauhaus Compass, which is a document that we published some time ago and which describes the 3 values of the New Urban Bauhaus and also their level of ambition. Regeneration is actually the 3rd level of ambition of the sustainability value. So this is why we wanted to have this topic, which focuses on better understanding of regenerative designs applied to the built environment and about implementing regenerative design in the built environment. So there are 3 expected outcomes for this project. The first one focuses on providing the construction ecosystem actors with tested and proven principles of regenerative design. So the idea behind this outcome is really to make the construction ecosystem actors better aware of the added value of regenerative design so that their use can be more generalized and mainstreamed. Then the second outcome is about having tools and technologies available to apply regenerative design to the built environment. Again, still with this idea of mainstreaming and facilitating the application of regenerative design in the built environment. And finally, the third expected outcome relates to the application of regenerative to to the built environment to regenerate ecosystems and biodiversity, which in turn benefits human health and well-being. There are two main requirements for the proposals. So first, the project will have to analyze at least 10 existing examples of regenerative designs applied to buildings, either buildings are being built or buildings are being renovated. So that means studying their success factors, the challenges that they face, their impacts, assessing and measuring how much they are contributing to the restoration of the environment. And we also want the projects to measure the sustainability performance of the buildings using existing sustainable building assessment methods, such as levels or the living community challenge, for instance. Those are only examples. It's really open to other assessment methods that exist and that could be relevant. So those 10 examples, they should be located in diverse contexts, so be it geographical, environmental, social, economic context, but we really want to have a diversity there. They should also be example where the building generate renewable energy that meets its own energy demands. Also, what's important is that the example should have used collaborative and inclusive approaches to engage local communities and inhabitants. So really, again, in line with the new Open Bauhaus, participatory approach and really citizen engagement. And finally, we would also expect those examples to have overcome legislative and regulatory barriers, if there were any. And then the second requirement is that the projects will have to develop and demonstrate at least one innovative solution, so a tool or a technology that facilitates the application of regenerative design to the built environment. And this innovative solution should be demonstrated in at least 3 neighborhoods from urban, peri-urban, and rural areas located in at least 3 member states or associated countries. So that's it for the first topic. Now moving on to the second one on biofabricated materials for sustainable and beautiful construction. So again, a few technical aspects. This is a research and innovation action. We expect the project to reach a TRL level of 5 at the end of the project. The total indicative budget is 10 million euros, which would be distributed across 2 projects, so each one receiving approximately 5 million euros. And again, the deadline is 12th of November. So we can move to the next slide. Thank you. Again, so why this topic? It's because the shift towards a sustainable and circular construction ecosystem really requires innovative and sustainable materials. And biofabricated materials hold a lot of potential to reduce their environmental impact of the built environment, but they're still very much underexplored and under-researched. So the topic aims to increase the use and acceptance of biofabricated materials in the construction ecosystems, addressing gaps such as technical challenges that they face, their high cost, or the low industry acceptance. There are 2 expected outcomes with this topic. So the first one focuses on ensuring a deeper understanding among construction professionals of the beneficial properties and potential of biofabricated materials in order to facilitate and broaden their acceptance and use. And the second outcome is about the mass scale production of biofabricated construction materials at competitive cost. Again, when to the scope, there are 2 main requirements for proposals. So the project will have to develop and test at least 2 innovative sustainable biofabricated construction materials. And these materials should have innovative features compared to current materials that are available on the market, such as durability, carbon storage, capacity to self-repair, etc. And also the materials that are being developed would have to be able to be used for interior, exterior, or structural purposes. And here I insist it's a or and not a and. So again, back to what we were saying about we have to read carefully. So we don't want one material that can be used for interior, exterior, and structural purposes. It's really either one or the other. And the materials also have to comply with the relevant EU standards and regulatory frameworks. Then for each material developed, we really expect a thorough assessment of these materials' properties, benefits, applications, but also their social, economic, and environmental impact. Yeah, and the aim behind that is really to develop a better knowledge and understanding of these materials and their impacts and how they can contribute to making the built environment more sustainable. And moreover, the projects will have to study the feasibility for mass-scale production, considering the use of high technological manufacturing techniques and processes. Now moving on to the third topic on sufficiency measures in the built environment. This is again a research and innovation action. We expect the project to reach technology readiness level 5 by the end of the project. The total indicative budget is 8 million euros, and we expect to fund 2 projects with this budget, and same deadline, 12th of November. So now moving on to the next slide. Why we have this topic is because the built environment requires sustainable approaches that address overconsumption of resources and spatial inefficiencies. And sufficiency practices can lead to a reduced demand for energy, materials, land, water, and in general, natural resources. Because of course, if you're not building new, you're using what is there, so you limit the use of resources, raw materials, etc. So sufficiency measures really offer an interesting avenue to make the built environment more sustainable, more circular, but also more affordable. And so that they can also help contributing to addressing social issues such as housing shortages, which is quite high on the agenda of the new European Commission. There are 3 expected outcomes for this topic. So the first one focuses on the vacant and underutilized spaces in buildings, allowing for better decision making. Then the second outcome is about ensuring that the built environment actors better understand sufficiency measures, their non-technical barriers, as well as their environmental, economic, and social impacts. And the final and third expected outcome relates to the reduction of resources used by the built environment while expanding the lifespan of existing buildings, thanks to validated sufficiency measures. Now, when it comes to the requirements for proposals, first, projects will have to test and validate an approach to map and quantify vacant and underutilized spaces with high sufficiency potential. Then second, they will have to test and validate at least 2 sufficiency measures that optimize, repurpose, or expand the use and functionality of space in at least 3 neighborhoods, again, in urban, peri-urban, and rural areas located in at least 3 member states or associated countries. And projects will also have to quantify how much the measures that propose contribute to an absolute reduction in demand for floor space and resources. And finally, the projects will have to propose and validate solutions to overcome the non-technical barriers in the built environments towards sufficiency measures. So regulatory barriers or acceptance, for instance. And finally, the last topic on innovative approaches for sustainable, inclusive, and beautiful social and affordable housing. This is an innovation action with a expected TRL level of 6 to 8 by the end of the project. The total budget is 16 million euros, and we expect to fund 2 projects. This topic also foresee potentially and again also with a 60,000 euros per third party, and deadline again is 12th of November. And before maybe jumping into the content of the topic, I also wanted to clarify that social and affordable housing also includes other types of housing, such as social care homes, elderly houses. So basically, what we mean by that is really all forms of inclusive housing with a residential function that is complemented with social welfare. And why we decided to have this topic is because, you know, there are a lot of innovative building technologies and construction methods available on the market to make construction and renovation more sustainable. And at the same time, there are more and more regulations to make the built environment more sustainable. But these often come with a cost. And so it makes it quite challenging to apply those solutions and methods to social and affordable housing. So this topic is really about developing innovative approaches that would allow the application of those technologies and methods to social and affordable housing. There are 4 expected outcomes for this topic. The first outcome focuses on the cost reduction of both the construction and renovation of social and affordable housing without sacrificing quality, because of course that's the whole point of having quality social and affordable housing. Then the second outcome is about having more affordable and quality housing available for diverse and vulnerable populations across Europe. The third expected outcomes relates to making affordable and social housing more sustainable by reducing their energy consumption, their carbon emission, their resource use, and also to improve their adaptability and resilience against climate change. And finally, the fourth expected outcome is about making the construction ecosystem actors better aware of innovative approaches that would allow to increase the affordability and sustainability of those types of housing. In terms of requirements for the proposals, the projects will have to develop innovative approaches for the construction of new buildings and the renovation or retrofitting of existing buildings in the social and affordable housing sector, building on, as I was saying, existing technologies and methods that are already on the market. So projects will have to implement in 2 social and affordable housing projects 2 ambitious packages of measures. So one package of measures has to be applied to a new construction project, and the other package of measures needs to be applied to a project of building renovation or retrofitting. And each package will have to first use existing technologies or methods that improve the efficiency and speed of construction and renovation or retrofitting. So it could be, for instance, off-site construction, modular building systems, etc. Then another requirement for those packages is that they have to use environmentally sustainable practices, really with the aim of making buildings more sustainable and resilient to climate change and also human-made hazards. The third requirement for this package is to ensure that social and affordable housing is aesthetically pleasing and contributes positively to the landscape of the place where it is located, while also respecting local context and the architectural heritage. Then the fourth requirement for the package is that those measures will have to improve the well-being, the inclusion, and the general living conditions of all the inhabitants of these buildings. And then only for the project of renovation or retrofitting, we would also expect the package and the measures to find ways to minimize and mitigate, when possible, the disruptions for residents and also improve the accessibility of buildings. So with that, I am done with the presentation of the 4 topics of Destination 2 in the Work Program 25. So now happy to take any questions you may have.